Really? Wow. That's just wrong. Just wrong, 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 wrong. I'm sorry. It's just wrong. And the cast itself is you gotta love it. Andrew McCarthy is Dr. Hook, and he's a doctor who lives in the basement. He's a surgeon, and he's made it it's his life work to destroy incompetence among other doctors. And I love the dark humor in this show. It's fantastic. I absolutely love it. And Bruce Davison, he plays Dr. Stegman. He's an arrogant, egotistical neurosurgeon who is on the verge of being initiated into the secret society of Kingdom Hospital, despite his numerous malpractice suits. And he constantly brags about his great career in Boston. Okay, then what happened? Why are you here? Excellent cast, excellent cast. Megan Frey. Sorry, lost my place here. Yeah, Megan Frey. She plays Dr. Brenda Albison. This is Dr. Stegman's only true friend in the hospital, and she'll stop at nothing to get to what she wants. So, and of course, we have the humorous and always wonderful Ed Begley Jr. He's Dr. Jesse James. He's the chief of staff, and he is a member of the secret society called the Keepers of Kingdom Hospital. And he spends his time initiating Operation Morning Air. And you have to see this. It's hilarious. It's absolutely good. I'm just going to go through some of the main casts. You have Jamie Harold as Dr. Elmer Traff. His father is an important man in the hospital. And he wants to get involved with Dr. Massengale, who is played by Sherry Miller. She's a sleep doctor. Allison Hasek as Dr. Christian Draper, the friendliest doctor, and of course she's in love with Dr. Hook. And Allison Hasek, that was Dr. Draper. William Wise as Dr. Lewis Trapp. He is the leader of the Keepers, the secret society, and is also an important doctor there. Lena Georges as Nurse Carrie Von Trier. Of course, this is the one afraid of blood. She faints at the sight of any blood. And these two are absolutely brilliant. Brandon Bauer as Abel Lyon. And he's an orderly with Down syndrome. And he has a best friend, Krista Mendelson, who's played by Jennifer Cunningham, who also has Down syndrome. And they both sneak around and have an uncanny knack of knowing all the hospital's goings-ons, including those of the other world. They know everything. These two are absolutely, there was genius casting these two. They show a strange affinity for the hospital's mechanical workings, and they know what's going on, and they go around and they go and they see the ghosts and all the other goings on, and they just giggle and go on. They're great, absolutely wonderful. We have Julian Richings as Otto. He's all-purpose man of Kingdom Hospital. He watches the security feeds, and this is the nearly blind security guard. And he has a German Shepherd dog named Blondie. And Blondie has on several occasions shown self-consciousness and actual thought. We have wonderful Diane Ladd. She plays Sally Druce, who is a professed psychic. And they think she's a hypochondriac, okay? She's always checking into Kingdom Hospital for everything. And she's determined to discover the truth in the hospital's depths there. She's absolutely wonderful. You have Jack Coleman as Peter Rickman. He's a comatose painter who is discovering the past and future of the kingdom. He's a paraplegic that recovers. He has latent psychic abilities, and they're triggered after his near-death experience. And it allows him to perceive ghosts and travel. He travels between the human and spirit world. And of course, Jodelle Micah Furland as Mary Jensen. She's Mary, Mary, the one with the bell. She has a little bell. And she's the ghost of a girl murdered to cover up the arson of the mill during the Civil War. She's a symbol of death in the Kingdom Hospital. And you have Ket Turton as Paul Morlock, Dr. Gottschrick's young assistant. He haunts a hospital. He's evil. And of course, we have Antibus. And later, we find out he reveals his true name. It's played by Kent Turton as Antibus. He's the companion of Mary. And near the end of the season, he reveals his true name. Okay, and we'll get into that. I absolutely love this series. The dark humor in this. Ed Begley Jr. is hilarious. And then you have Andrew McCarthy, of course. And it's the play off each other. It's just wonderful. And this whole thing, it tells the story of the fictional kingdom located in Lewiston, Maine, built on the site of the two other fires. The first one being the site of a mill and manufactured military uniforms during the Civil War. And it had, as the story goes on, you learn of the fire. And they believe it was for the insurance money. I think Mary had found out about it. You have flashbacks to when the kids were working, and their conditions were really, really brutal. And the guy, of course, locked the doors, sealed them all inside. She was going to try and get them out, but was unable to. And all these kids that, were laborers, died in the fire. They died in the fire. And so she's, still haunting it. And the current hospital is known as the New Kingdom, of course. And its nature seems to reflect its ominous logo. If you've never seen it, please watch it. It is absolutely brilliant. And I was so upset because they put it on hold because of the NBA playoffs. Really, people? Come on. Could have picked it up after. I could do without the playoffs. Sorry, anybody who likes b-ball, I'm sorry, but can't watch it. The ominous logo, it's a crimson stylized dagger, and basically predicting what will come. Now we have Mrs. Drews, of course, played by the wonderful Diane Ladd. She's always checking in, and they think she's a hypochondriac. And she asks for the assistance of the cynical yet compassionate Dr. Hook to uncover the truth about the hospital and the mysterious spirits who haunt it, including Mary, a young girl killed after the original fire. There's a sinister teenage boy and a strange animal that follows and protects Mary, called Antibus. And it is similar to a giant anteater, but if you've seen it, his snout opens up to a really horrifying set of jagged teeth. It's brilliant. I love it. And we have Peter Rickman, who was admitted who is admitted to the hospital following an accident with severe injuries to his skull and spine. And he begins to discover the ghastly goings-on while he is comatose in room 426. And then, of course, other subplots going on. The initiation of Chief of Surgery Stegman into the secret society. And the challenge at every turn flirtation between Elmer Traff and Sleep Doctor Massingale. Part of the Peter Rickman was not part of the original The Kingdom, okay, the Danish series. Stephen King wrote that in, after his accident with the minivan. So he wrote that part in, Peter Rickman's part. So interesting side note to that. So so that was real interesting in that. It's actually based off a 5-hour Danish television movie called The Kingdom. And this was the first time he had actually adapted someone else's work rather than his own from scratch, basically. He kept, like I said, he kept most of the characters and dark humor in place. But Peter Rickman was based on his own personal experience after being hit by the minivan. And King described the finished product as, and I quote, "the thing I like best out of all the things I've done." So, what does that tell you? I absolutely love this show. And I'm just so upset they didn't continue on with it. The series is also known for its plots and characters. And as King called it again, and I quote, "a novelization for television." He committed to write the storyline for the following year, but ABC decided no. I wish maybe he would have went to a different network. It might have been really good. I absolutely love the characters. They were good. Fans wanted it, of course, for a second season, and Stephen King already had a storyboard written and everything. And after even successful ratings, and it did receive an Emmy Award nomination for a special visual effect for a series and main title design. So you tell me why it was canceled. There was no real reason. I don't get it. And it kind of starts off as, of course, our painter gets admitted, and while in surgery, he discovers Kingdom Hospital is more than it seems. And Dr. Stegman asks the chief of staff, Dr. James, to help him rid him of the hypochondriac Mrs. Drews. And then earthquakes start hitting the hospital. And in a twist of fate, of course, Peter's hit-and-run driver is also at Kingdom Hospital, and he starts being one of the first to witness the strange events that are going on there. Elmer attempts to attract Lorna during a dinner in the morgue. That's interesting. Candlelight dinner in a morgue. That's romantic, I have to admit. And Hook schemes to keep Mrs. Drews for observational purposes. He believes her. He believes what she's saying. He doesn't just write her off. Especially after he sees the ghost of Mary. So he gets drawn into her stories. And then we have a prisoner's girlfriend plan a suicide pact gone wrong. The prisoner is saved by the staff. Dr. Stegman is accused of malpractice again, like he doesn't have enough. And Peter Rickman, is visited by the spirits of the kingdom in the form of Mary and Paul. I love Mary, her and her little bell. She's a ghost, but she's still so cute. Elmer dreams of Antibus, and a deceased Lenny helps Mrs. Drews in her quest. The ghosts are trying to help her too. And Stegman goes crazy after finding his car defaced and decides to find the culprits. Oh, this was great. It couldn't have happened to a better person. Kingdom saw it. There's another earthquake there. And Paul and Antibus face off. Peterson plots to kill his roommate. There's another Dr. Gupta is stunned by the likeness of a dead patient to Elmer. And, of course, Elma and Lorna flirt. Dr. Hook shows Draper his home in the bowels of the kingdom.